What's up, guys? I'm still catching my breath. This is Zach Joachim. This is On the Horn. I'm coming at you from UD Arena and trying to collect my thoughts after VCU comes away with a 73-68 win at Dayton, a potentially season-defining victory that likely puts the Rams on the right side of the NCAA at-large tournament bubble. Right now, it was their last chance at a quad one win, a hang-your-hat-on-it victory, and they got it. They were down 59-54. Let's start there with the 12-0 run that turned this game around. I'm looking at my notes right now. By the way, this place is amazing. We'll get to that in a second. VCU's down 59-54. After Santos hits a free throw, Nate Santos hits a free throw for Dayton with 4:54 to play. And then things flipped. It felt, this place was loud. It felt like the Flyers were in control. This was an awesome game to that point, right? 14 ties, 13 lead changes between two A10 heavyweights that have had some amazing battles over the years. This one certainly deserves to be up there with some of the best games that the Rams and Flyers have had. And VCU flipped this right after the under 4 stoppage. Max Shulga hits a three-pointer in between the right corner and wing. It was catch and shoot with 3:15 to play. That makes it 59-57, right? And then a Shulga steal right here on this end line in front of the media table here. He was outstanding defensively tonight. Once again, showed off, I think, the all-around game that we've seen this year. This team relied so heavily on him to be a scorer at times for much of last year, and he's certainly still the closer for this VCU team. They look at him to make big shots, but he hasn't had to carry them offensively like he did for so much of last season. He's been able to affect the game in a lot of different ways defensively in the rebounding battle. What was his final stat line? 16 points, 8 rebounds, 3 steals, 3 assists for Shulga, who I think has got to be the front runner for A10 Player of the Year after this performance right now. So that 3 makes it 59-57. And then he gets a steal and a finish with his left off glass, and it's 59 up. I'm sorry, I'm definitely sick, so my voice is a little scratchy here. I'm powering through this, guys. It's 59 up, and this place is already in a bit of a state of shock because it felt like Dayton was in control late in this game. And then VCU gets Jack Clark gets a steal on the inbounds. He was outstanding defensively tonight. That's with 2:37 to play. He feeds Zeb Jackson, who hits 2 free throws. We'll get to Zeb in a second, the Toledo native who had a lot of fans, a lot of friends and family in attendance tonight. One of his best games in a VCU uniform, probably his most clutch game in a VCU uniform. I think of the winner against Rhode Island last year. That was obviously a great shot, but just Zeb ended up 13 of 14 at the free throw line, fueled a 6-0 run late in that first half to put VCU up 31-28, headed into the locker room. He hits 2 free throws with 2:37 to play to make it 61-59, and this place is in an absolute state of shock at that point. And then Clark skies for a rebound on VCU's next possession. He was great on the glass tonight. Ended up with 6 rebounds, as he has been throughout the season. And it leads to a Christian Furman and one, and Firm converts the free throw for 64-59. The bench went nuts. The VCU bench did after Firm got that bucket because he had some miscues late in VCU's loss here last year. And so I talked to Zeb Jackson after the game, Ryan Odom, and Max Shulga, and everyone was super excited for Firm to kind of flip that script this year and impact this game so heavily in the latter stages, hit a clutch bucket like that. So it's 64-59 now, and then a travel on Posh Alexander makes it VCU ball with 1:23 to play, and then a Jackson drive and finish. Makes it 66-59 with 52 seconds to play. That completes the 12-0 run, and this place was disgusted. Fans started to file out at that point. They're irate with the late game miscues from Dayton, but it wasn't just Dayton mistakes, right? VCU forced them into that. And then you had free throws down the stretch. Nate Santos does hit a 3, right? I'm looking at my play-by-play right now. Santos hits a 3 at the top of the key with 27 seconds left to make it 69-66. So that gave them a glimmer of hope. This game was not over, but man, Zeb Jackson got to the free throw line a few times. It looked like VCU was trying to get the ball in his hands late in the game. He and Max Shulga, I think, are obviously the 2 guys primarily that you want at the line. And then Clark finishes it off with a steal with 13.7 seconds to go, and VCU up 71-66, and they're fouled again, and Zeb hits some more free throws, and it's a 73-68 final. And VCU gets a win that, like I said, likely puts them on the right side of the NCAA tournament at-large bubble right now against a good Dayton team that's had its ups and downs this year, but beat Marquette, beat UConn in the non-conference, played really close with, I believe it was Iowa State and North Carolina. This is a super talented Dayton team that's been inconsistent this year, but this is potentially a season-defining win for VCU. That's got a ton of momentum right now. Rams to 19-5, 9-2, right, nipping at George Mason's heels atop the A-10, and this was your last big road test of the season. Rams are at G-Dub next week. You can't afford to slip up at Richmond or Duquesne, but VCU is undefeated at the Siegel Center this year, 12-0, has beaten everyone by at least 12 points. And so you feel like they're in a really good position to take care of business down the stretch here in a back half of the conference schedule that's easier than the first half was. That George Mason game at the Siegel Center on the 22nd, which is already sold out, is going to be absolutely electric. But let's look at the box score. Ryan Odom and Zeb Jackson and Max Shulga obviously emphasized the turnovers and the points off of them, because that was the difference in this game, right? What did the number end up at? Dayton, 19 turnovers. VCU, 11 of them were steals too. So VCU, the fouls mounted up. I thought that was going to be VCU's undoing late in this game, because Dayton was in the bonus very early in the second half, about midway through the second half. After this first half, it was an odd contrast in the officiating. The first half was called super loose. We did not have many free throws. It was super physical. And the second half was called very tight. So I'm not sure what that switch was about. I don't think that the physicality from the teams changed that much. I think the officials really called this game differently in the second half than they did in the first half. It went both ways. There was never a big disparity of that. I mean, Dayton shot 25 free throws. I don't think Flyers fans will be complaining about the officiating. VCU shot 19. So many of those are in the second half. I forget exactly what the free throw. Yeah, here it is. VCU 6 of 6 from the line in the first half. Dayton 5 of 5. And then in the second half, Dayton 18 of 20. VCU 11 of 13 at the free throw line. So they were calling a lot in the second half after they didn't call a whole lot in the first half. And it made for a choppy, tense game down the stretch here. And for VCU to make free throws in those clutch moments when it did. Shulga 2 of 2 at the line, and Jackson 13 of 14. Those are really your clutch guys that sank the free throws when VCU absolutely had to have them. But those 19 Dayton turnovers, VCU turned into 30 points. And that's the difference in this game, right? Because VCU turned the ball over 14 times. Dayton only 9 points off turnovers. It's a 21-point disparity in points off turnovers, even though you only have a turnover disparity of 5, right? So VCU's ability to convert Dayton's miscues and punish them for them on the other end was the difference in this game. Elsewhere on the box score, Michael Bell deserves a huge shout out, right? 8 points, only played 13-37, but 8 points, 5 rebounds. He had a huge impact on this game. Jackson and Shulga are your stars, but Philip Russell too, 10 points, 2 steals, 2 assists. He annoyed them on the perimeter defensively, forced them into a good few of those miscues. And again, Zeb to have that performance after what's been an up and down season for him, right? Kind of stunted by the injuries early on, out of the starting lineup after he started for so much last season. I want to say that Zeb is one of my favorite human beings that I've ever covered. He's just the nicest guy ever, always says hey to me. I flew with the team the other day, and Zeb smiled at me and dapped me up when he was getting on the plane. Joe Bamisile did the same thing. They're both just incredibly kind people, and I talked to Joe for a little bit after this one. Those are two of my favorite athletes that I've ever covered. And Max was great as well in the post-game interview. Those are all up online right now, embedded in my story on this game, and I'm going to do takeaways right after I get finished with On the Horn here, because like I said, I'm still catching my breath, guys. I want to say, I love the Siegel Center. We all love the Siegel Center. I'm not going to compare. This place is great. This place exceeded all of my expectations. When this place went dark and they had the pregame hype video and everyone got their cell phones out, like I said, I had goosebumps for much of tonight. The student section for Dayton was outstanding. The only big thing that I'll say that the Siegel Center has better is the Peppas, right? Because Dayton's band was good. The Peppas are special. And I think the VCU fan base needs to always keep that in perspective, how much they fuel the environment at the Siegel Center. But that Dayton student section over here was awesome when they were doing jump around and the arms up and down dance. I don't know what that's called, but it was really cool. And it was an absolute privilege to be in this atmosphere tonight. Thank you again to VCU for allowing me the access to fly with the team and get kind of behind the scenes here. I'm going to have a behind the scenes column that I think is going to go online on Sunday or Saturday and go in the paper next week. Like I said, I'll have takeaways shortly here. The game story is already up online, and just did a talking interview with Rhino and didn't do a video with him, but I'll have quotes in the story, and the videos of the Max and Zeb interviews are already up. So VCU 73, Dayton 68. A monumental win for the Rams, who are certainly on the right side of the NCAA tournament bubble. right now and have a ton of momentum going down the back half of their schedule. And again, that Mason game on the 22nd is going to be great. I'm flying back to Richmond tomorrow, so thank you all so much for following along the coverage. Are there any other moments in this game? I feel like I could talk about this for ages, and I'm already at 10 minutes here, and I should probably cut it off. But there was a 6-0 run to end the first half that let VCU go into the locker room up 31-28. Like I said, 13 lead changes, 14 ties in this game. Although VCU led for 24-42, Dayton for 8:05. So VCU was really not in control, but was ahead for large stretches of this game, right? And it was Dayton playing catch up for the most part. And that 12-0 run late was certainly decisive. But that 6-0 run heading into halftime, Zeb said, was massive too. I think he hit 4 free throws in that stretch and then got a steal right before halftime that led to a Joe Bamaseal dunk. And that was the last bucket of the first half. And Joe Bam is one of the best scorers in this conference and can obviously get going on a given day. It wasn't his night from the field, 3 of 12, 7 points. Other guys stepped up, right? We've seen that throughout the season for this VCU team. Zeb has had off nights. Max has had off nights, and they've been able to have other pieces step up. Phil has had off nights. But on any given night, any of those guys can beat you and carry this VCU team. Like I said, Bell was huge off the bench. Jack Clark, 5 points, 6 rebounds, 3 steals. I thought he was fantastic defensively tonight. Christian Furman, 5 points, 7 rebounds. He was huge on the glass. VCU 44-34 rebounding edge, 23-12 edge on the offensive glass. And in the momentum of this game, that quieted this crowd on a number of occasions. You could hear the frustration when VCU got multiple chances, right, on the offensive glass. That's been a huge part of some of VCU's best basketball this season, and it was key again tonight. The 23-12 edge in offensive rebounds led to a 17-10 edge in second chance points. Bell fueled VCU's bench, which ended up with a 30-15 edge tonight. So the depth, the offensive glass, and disrupting defensively to get that turnover number and the points off turnovers. That's a huge points off turnovers number, 30. I think that might be their season high for VCU. It's at least got to be their high in A10 play. So an enormous win for the Rams to bring back to Richmond. I enjoyed this atmosphere immensely. Thank you to Dayton and everyone in Dayton PR. I know their fans are rabid. I think their fans are quite nice. I went and got drinks last night at a bar with Chris Kowalczyk and Evan Nicely in VCU Athletics, and Evan was wearing some VCU stuff. And a Dayton fan came up to him and started talking some smack, and then just got into a very heartfelt, discussion about the rivalry and the dynamic between these two programs who've, been the flagship programs for the A10 for a while now, and ended up buying us drinks. So that's, I think, a good encapsulation of what I've seen from Dayton fans. They love their basketball here. They have a special environment in this town. 13,000 people. I mean, look how high those stands go up. I was shocked by that. This arena is so much fun. The Dayton fans and Dayton Athletics administration were wonderful. And again, thank you to VCU for letting me fly on the plane and get some behind-the-scenes insight here on what ended up being a very fruitful trip for VCU. So Rams 73, Flyers 68. Huge win. I'm Zach Joachim. This is On the Horn, and I'll see you guys back in RVA.